The atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace changed before the sun had fully risen. Senior members of the royal family received urgent instructions to attend a confidential meeting that had not appeared on any official schedule. Within minutes, normal engagements were quietly postponed, additional security officers moved into position, and activity around the king's private offices intensified. Those arriving could immediately sense that this gathering was unlike routine palace briefings. The discussion was expected to focus on a matter affecting the future stability of the monarchy and, more importantly, the protection of those closest to the line of succession. Prince William entered the private wing without speaking to the waiting staff, his expression reflecting the seriousness of the situation. King Charles had requested absolute confidentiality, limiting attendance to only a small group of trusted senior royals and officials. Even experienced palace aides were instructed to remain outside. Before anyone took their seats, it was already clear that the decisions made that morning would influence not only royal security arrangements, but also the future responsibilities carried by the next generation of the House of Windsor. When the meeting began, King Charles explained that recent security assessments had raised concerns requiring immediate action. The focus was not simply on ceremonial procedures or public appearances, but on strengthening the protection surrounding Prince William and his children as future heirs to the crown. Officials presented updated recommendations covering travel, private residences, emergency planning, and coordination between royal security teams. Every proposal reflected the belief that modern challenges required stronger safeguards than those used in previous years. William listened carefully, understanding that each recommendation would directly affect the daily lives of Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. The discussion quickly moved beyond logistics and became deeply personal. Protecting the future of the monarchy also meant protecting a young family whose lives were increasingly shaped by public responsibility. Around the table, every participant recognized that these decisions would extend far beyond palace walls. Catherine joined the discussion with a perspective shaped not only by royal duty, but also by motherhood. She supported stronger security measures, but remained concerned that excessive restrictions could affect her children's ability to experience a balanced upbringing. William shared those concerns, yet he believed recent developments made additional precautions unavoidable. Their quiet exchange reflected two parents trying to balance safety with normal family life while carrying extraordinary responsibilities. Princess Anne observed the conversation with her usual composure, carefully listening before offering practical views on maintaining consistent security standards across the royal household. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla noticed several procedural changes that suggested access to sensitive information would become more tightly controlled than before. The atmosphere remained respectful, but everyone present understood that trust, responsibility, and security were now becoming more closely connected than ever. As the briefing continued, officials reviewed the events that had prompted the emergency meeting. During a recent internal security exercise, an unexpected incident had highlighted potential weaknesses in established procedures. Although the situation was brought under control without harm, it demonstrated that even carefully planned operations required stronger safeguards. For William, the report reinforced the importance of protecting his family while preparing for the responsibilities that awaited him as future king. King Charles concluded that maintaining confidence in the monarchy required decisive action rather than delayed responses. By the end of the session, those present understood that new measures would soon reshape how succession security was managed within the royal household. While the discussions remained confidential, the significance of the decisions reached that morning would continue to influence the monarchy long after the meeting itself had ended. The atmosphere inside the palace shifted dramatically once investigators confirmed that the security concern had originated from within the royal system itself. What had first appeared to be an isolated operational failure was now being examined as a breakdown of internal trust. King Charles listened carefully as officials presented the initial findings, making it clear that the matter could no longer be treated as a routine security review. The discussion moved beyond technical details and focused instead on responsibility. Every person with access to confidential succession information was now subject to renewed scrutiny, regardless of rank or position. Prince William remained composed throughout the briefing, but those around the table could see the concern on his face. For him, this was no longer an administrative problem, it involved the safety of his family. Catherine sat quietly, absorbing each new detail, while understanding that the consequences would reach far beyond that single meeting. Princess Anne urged the council to concentrate on strengthening procedures rather than assigning blame before the investigation had been completed. Yet everyone present understood that confidence within the royal household had already been shaken. The king's priority was now unmistakable: restoring complete confidence in the system responsible for protecting the future of the monarchy. As the investigation progressed, palace officials recommended immediate changes designed to reduce the number of people able to view sensitive succession information. King Charles reviewed each proposal carefully, recognizing that previous arrangements had allowed confidential material to circulate through too many administrative channels. The revised structure would place greater responsibility directly within Prince William's household, while introducing stricter oversight for every department involved in royal security. William accepted the additional responsibility, knowing it would require difficult decisions, but he believed stronger safeguards had become unavoidable. Catherine quietly supported the reforms, although she remained determined that security should never completely replace normal family life for George, Charlotte, and Louis. Princess Anne agreed to oversee compliance with the updated procedures, ensuring that every royal household followed the same standards without exception. Her appointment reflected the king's confidence in her experience, discipline, and impartiality. The discussion made one point increasingly clear: protecting the next generation required more than physical security. It demanded complete accountability from everyone trusted with confidential information, regardless of personal relationships or seniority within the royal household. Attention soon turned toward the practical implementation of the new security framework. Officials outlined revised approval procedures, tighter access controls, and more limited distribution of operational information relating to Prince William and his family. Instead of allowing multiple offices to manage sensitive details, responsibility would now be concentrated among a smaller group of trusted personnel. King Charles acknowledged that the changes represented a significant adjustment to long-established palace practices, but he believed modern circumstances required a different approach. William understood that the authority being placed in his hands also carried enormous responsibility. Every decision concerning his family's protection would now require careful judgment, balancing security with the everyday needs of his children. Catherine reminded those present that George, Charlotte, and Louis deserved as normal a childhood as possible despite their future responsibilities. The council agreed that stronger protection should never prevent the young royals from experiencing ordinary family moments whenever circumstances allowed. Although opinions occasionally differed on the best approach, everyone shared the same objective: ensuring the future heirs remained protected without losing the stability and support essential to their upbringing. As the emergency meeting approached its conclusion, King Charles emphasized that rebuilding confidence would require consistent action rather than temporary measures. He instructed palace officials to complete a full review of internal security procedures and report directly to him on their progress. Any weaknesses identified during the investigation would be addressed immediately, with updated safeguards introduced wherever necessary. Prince William supported the decision, believing that restoring confidence depended on clear accountability and decisive leadership. Catherine left the meeting reassured that stronger protections were being established, while still hoping her children could continue enjoying as much privacy and normality as their unique position allowed. Princess Anne prepared to oversee the implementation of the reforms, fully aware that maintaining public confidence often depended on quiet work carried out behind palace walls rather than public announcements. As those gathered slowly departed the council chamber, everyone recognized that the events of that day had marked an important turning point. The decisions reached would influence not only current security arrangements, but also the way future generations of the royal family were protected for many years to come. As the investigation drew to a close, King Charles requested one final private conversation with Prince William. Away from advisors, officials, and formal meetings, the discussion focused on the future rather than the events that had brought the palace to this point. Charles acknowledged that recent developments had exposed weaknesses in long-standing procedures and made it clear that the next generation required stronger safeguards than ever before. William listened carefully before explaining that his greatest concern had never been public perception or royal protocol. His priority had always been the well-being of Catherine, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Every decision he had supported during the review reflected that responsibility. Charles admitted that maintaining family harmony had sometimes delayed difficult choices, but circumstances had changed. The monarchy now faced challenges that demanded quicker decisions and clearer accountability. The conversation ended with mutual understanding rather than disagreement. Father and son recognized that protecting the institution also meant protecting the people who would one day carry its responsibilities. Although the discussion remained private, it marked an important moment in their shared commitment to preparing the monarchy for the future. Later that day, Buckingham Palace confirmed that updated succession security arrangements would take effect immediately. The announcement described a revised structure designed to strengthen coordination between security teams responsible for protecting the direct line of succession, while the palace avoided discussing operational details. It emphasized that the changes reflected an ongoing commitment to safeguarding the future of the monarchy. William accepted a greater role in overseeing matters affecting his immediate family, while Catherine continued to provide an important perspective as both a senior royal and a mother. Princess Anne was entrusted with helping ensure that the new procedures were applied consistently across the royal household, reflecting the confidence placed in her experience and judgment. Palace officials also introduced stricter access controls and additional safeguards intended to protect confidential information. Although much of the work would remain unseen by the public, those involved understood its long-term importance. The reforms represented more than administrative adjustments. They demonstrated the monarchy's willingness to adapt to modern security challenges while preserving stability for future generations. News of the palace's decision quickly attracted widespread attention across Britain. Commentators viewed the reforms as evidence that preparations for the future were becoming increasingly practical rather than symbolic. Many observers noted that Prince William's expanding responsibilities reflected the gradual transition that naturally accompanies the evolution of the monarchy. Others focused on the broader message behind the announcement, arguing that protecting the next generation had become a priority shared across the royal family. At Adelaide Cottage, Catherine watched George, Charlotte, and Louis continue their ordinary routines, grateful that they remained largely unaware of the discussions taking place behind palace walls. William joined them later that evening, reminded once again that every official decision ultimately served one purpose: allowing his children to grow up as safely and normally as possible, despite the extraordinary responsibilities awaiting them. For both parents, the balance between public duty and private family life remained their greatest challenge, but it was one they were determined to face together. As the palace returned to its usual rhythm, the significance of the recent decisions became increasingly clear. The review had strengthened internal procedures, clarified responsibilities, and reinforced the importance of accountability throughout the royal household. King Charles remained focused on guiding the institution through a period of gradual transition, while Prince William accepted that greater responsibility would continue to shape his future long before he eventually inherited the crown. Catherine remained committed to ensuring that security measures protected her children without preventing them from enjoying a warm and supportive family life. Princess Anne continued her oversight with the steady professionalism for which she has long been respected. Together, these efforts reflected a shared determination to safeguard both the institution and the family at its heart. In the end, the lasting lesson was not simply about security or succession. It was about preparation, responsibility, and the understanding that preserving the future of the monarchy depends on the people entrusted to lead it with wisdom, dedication, and care.